You can't see it, but there's a pile of books that sit on the floor behind me. Not these books right here, but the books on the floor. And they're books some of them I've read and I want to read again. Some of them I've started and some of them I just ordered because, hey, I need to read this at some time. I'm just going to go ahead and get it. And when I was looking at those books and all these things I want to read about, I realized I don't have time to learn the things I want to learn for where it is I want to go if I keep on doing all of the things. I'm not willing to burn myself out. I'm not willing to sacrifice time with family. I'm not willing to sacrifice RLS wealth and the time there. So that meant the content and the volume of content I was creating needed to pull back a little bit. Well, hello there. It is great to be back behind the microphone again. I want to start off with an apology. I went to the daily notes. I went to my blog. I went to social media. I let everybody know, hey, I'm going to be taking a little bit of a break from all the content. I'm going into the lab. I let everybody else but you know. And I apologize. Now, hopefully you're consuming some other content elsewhere and you knew what was going on. But if you just come to the podcast when they come out and you haven't heard one for a while, I want to apologize. The last one out was Elise Archer. It was great. Awesome conversation, and some cool things have happened since I had that conversation with her that I'll share here in a bit. But I want to take this moment in this solo episode just to bring you up to speed on why there has not been as much activity on the podcast. Podcast is going nowhere. On Our Pursuit is here to stay, just on hiatus right now. And the reason I put it on hiatus is I want to spend more time fine-tuning my message when it comes to this concept of the pursuit of the authentic life, how spirit, mind, body, and money fit into the picture, and ultimately how I can help more people find their authentic life and live it. In my mind, I know what the authentic life is. In my mind, I know how these pieces fit together, but just because it makes sense in my mind doesn't mean it makes sense when I explain it. And just from feedback and conversations with people, what people think the authentic life is and what pursuit is all about and what I'm trying to achieve is kind of all over the place. Like they're kind of connected, but I can tell the messaging is not clear. In addition to working on the messaging, there's a lot of things that I want to study. You can't see it, but there's a pile of books that sit on the floor behind me. Not these books right here, but the books on the floor. And they're books some of them I've read and I want to read again. Some of them I've started and some of them I just ordered because, hey, I need to read this at some time. I'm just going to go ahead and get it. And when I was looking at those books and all these things I want to read about, I realized I don't have time to learn the things I want to learn for where it is I want to go if I keep on doing all of the things. I'm not willing to burn myself out. I'm not willing to sacrifice time with family. I'm not willing to sacrifice RLS wealth and the time there. So that meant the content and the volume of content I was creating needed to pull back a little bit. And that's hard for me because I love it. Like if I could do anything, if I knew my clients were in good shape, they didn't need me anymore, I had all the money in the world I needed, like I would just love to create content all the time. That's my passion, my highest passion. I have lots of passions, but that's the highest passion. But I get to do some of it, take care of my clients, be present for my family, work in all my passions. So right now that's great. There'll be a time in the future where I can do even more content. But I realized that in order to kind of break through this glass ceiling that I feel like I'm hitting is I've got to slow down the content. I've got to spend more time studying my own curriculum. I put together my own curriculum, and then more time working on the messaging. And when all of that is done, and I don't know when that is, I don't have a timetable for that. But when all that is done, then I can come back full speed. Podcast, come back with a bunch of episodes already recorded, really humming, get the consistency there to make it easier for more people to find it and hear the message. Come back with a lot of great ideas on the podcast or on the videos. Have a library of shorts already created to get the algorithms going and really go drive this thing forward and do it with confidence because I know my message. And I know that people understand my message. So one of the things that has been pretty cool that has come from the conversation with Elise Archer is I ended up hiring a company to kind of help me with strategy and coach the fine-tuning of the messaging behind Life Design Plus and Spirit, Mind, Body, Money and the pursuit and where it is I'm going. And I've never had a coach before, and probably a bad thing. I've shared this before on a couple of podcasts, but there's been 2 times I wanted to hire a coach. One time, it's a friend, somebody I respect very much. He said, I don't have time to coach you, but I'll meet with you and try to help you out. So he was a little bit of a coach, but not an official one. I was, willing to write a check to work with him. And then the other individual, I had a meeting with her and was ready to sign up. And we had the meeting to sign things up. And she had to let me know that she got hired by a larger organization to coach all of the advisors within that organization. So she couldn't take on outside clients. So the 2 times I found a coach that I thought would work with me, who I am, versus trying to shape me into a mold of somebody who's super successful, the 2 times didn't work out. And then truthfully, that's why I've never worked with a coach before, is I never felt like I'd come across a coach where they would not try to change me too much. By no means do I think I'm perfect, but I know there are certain things I have to do, and there are certain things that I can't do. For instance, I think a lot of coaches would have told me back in the day, pare back all the things you're doing. Focus on one thing, inch wide, mile deep. And while that makes total sense, and I understand the benefit of essentialism, that's not who I am. That's not authentic to me. So I had to go experiment and explore and try different things and stay, a mile wide, inch deep on some things. But because I did all of that, I sit where I am today. And where I sit today is I found my thing to narrow out the width and go a lot deeper on. So I was ready to find somebody to help me and at least introduce me to one of the co-founders of a group called Brand Builders Group. And when I met with AJ and just had a kind of a connecting call, I resonated with her view on branding, and come to find out that that's what they do. They help people take their brands, their personal brands, and build it up. They have some big name clients under their umbrella. They have some other people you've never heard of, but are doing a lot of great work and making a lot of impact. And when I heard their definition of a personal brand, it was very similar to the ones that I have talked about before. So I knew that we were on the same wavelength from what a personal brand is. And then looking at the people that they help, I realized that I figured they would be able to help me in a way that will resonate with me. Not try to change me too much, but I'm ready for some more structure. I'm ready for some strategy. The days of creating for fun and just putting it out there and doing good things, like that gets you so far. But to get to the reach that I want to have with this message that I have, I've got to be a little bit more disciplined. And that's what they're going to be doing to help me out. So, I meet Elise, have an awesome podcast episode. She introduces me to co-founder of a company, and I hire a company to help me with my strategy and messaging. And then as this thing goes out, we'll help with other things. And so the focus with working with them is the next year is really about trying to grow Life Design Plus. And I just dropped a video on the YouTube channel explaining what Life Design Plus is. So I'm not going to do that on this episode. Go to the YouTube channel. It should be the most recent video, or one of the most recent videos, What is Life Design Plus? But that is where the main focus is. And then from there, it will grow. Like, Life Design Plus is great because I'm helping people one-on-one, and it's a lot of one-on-one impact, but my mission is bigger than just helping a handful of clients. My mission is to help as many people as possible find and live their authentic life. And some people need to be woken up to the fact that they have an authentic life and they can pursue that. Some people need to be encouraged to follow the passions that they have, or the life that they want, that they know they want, they should go pursue it and not be afraid of all the other reasons other people are telling them not to. And there's lots of planning that comes with that and conversations to be had. So eventually I want to branch out beyond Life Design Plus and have other ways to help you find and live your authentic life. There'll always be content, but I want to have other offerings along the way to meet you wherever you might be personally, might be on your journey, or you might be financially. I want to be able to help, but it's got to be Life Design Plus. So that's another part of this is, foregoing some of the content to spend more time on this Life Design Plus relationship and finding the right clients, beginning to help them. Because in helping those clients, one, it's going to be good to help people, but it will also help me better communicate as I come back to the podcast and the videos in the future, what all is going on. And, I can take what I'm learning with those individual clients, because each one of those clients' pursuit is going to be different, and helping them will be different, finding different ways. And, without sharing too much of their stories, taking what I'm learning from working with them and come here to the podcast and come to my writing to help more people. The more stories I can share, the more likely you're going to eventually see somebody's story reflecting you, and you finally have a light bulb go off. So Life Design Plus is the main focus. Again, another reason to go into the lab and spend less time creating content, which I love, this is a higher priority in the short term. When that takes off and I have 5, 10 clients in Life Design Plus, then I can say, all right, we're at capacity with the number of clients we can serve Life Design Plus with the existing clients of RLS Wealth. Let's slow down that effort, and then let's bring it to the next effort, which let's take the energy that was pouring into Life Design Plus and apply it to something else. So doing all of this within my own personal authentic life and plan. So I'm hopeful that, while I'm in the lab, the absence that might be there is still a lesson in showing, people that I'm following what it is that I say you should be doing, or I suggest you should be doing, I'm doing myself. And then hopefully out of all this, it is a positive outcome, which then is just proof of concept of what I'm talking about can work for some people. So in the lab is just me spending more time on some very specific things for a period of time to eventually allow me to come back to doing the things that I love the most. Now, that being said, I still have to be me. So I still need to create from time to time. So I still have the daily notes. As I mentioned, I did a video. I've written a couple of blog posts over on All About Your Benjamins. So as I start to build out the framework for my message and where you might find it, any of the posts that are going to be more heavy into the money side of things, the financial planning side of things, will be on All About Your Benjamins. And it'll be easy to follow, and eventually there'll be a website rebrand and redesign, so it's easier to find all the things. But the way I want to kind of have it is that where the daily notes live on my personal website, that could be for anything. That's my thoughts. It's where I go, and it's where you can go to find all the things that are going on. Money stuff, financial planning related stuff will always be on All About Your Benjamins. And then On Our Pursuit is the podcast that is designed about pursuing the authentic life and having guests on. So still be doing some writing because I enjoy writing. The daily notes, I've made the commitment that I'm going to show up every day, and I'm 200 and probably 50 days in. No signs of stopping there. Occasional blog posts when something comes up. And then if you've made it this far into the episode, we're about 11 and a half minutes in, I'll give you a little teaser that there will be a In the Lab series that will drop on the podcast at some point. So I mentioned there's a lot of things I want to learn about, and there are topics that I want to read about, but there's also topics that I want to just talk to people. It's great to read, but it's also awesome to learn from people who are experts in their fields. So the way I envision In the Lab is I'm really going to be having these conversations to ask specific questions, not have a podcast episode per se, but have questions and learn from somebody. Spend maybe an hour with them. But if I'm going to be with them for an hour, why not record the conversation? Not going to do a lot of editing to it. There'll be no video. Maybe I'll create a streaming picture or something, and I can put it on YouTube so you can listen to it on YouTube. But I'm not going to go through all of the editing because, again, time. The real reason for the conversation is to learn, but while I'm learning, I might as well document it and then share that together. So I have a list of topics I want to go over, some things with the health part, some things with the mind part, spirit part, all these different areas that kind of tie together, and just get this information from individuals that are further along in their learning of these topics, so I can grow and then put together a little podcast series. Probably will drop all the episodes at once. Not going to be anytime soon. I haven't had any of those conversations yet, but it is something that I'm planning on doing this fall and into the winter. So I'm still going to be the creator that I am, just not at the level that I once was because there's other things that are more important. So really, I just wanted to come in and get behind the mic. I got to do a couple podcasts. If you haven't had a chance to check them out, on The Human Side of Money with Brendan Fraser. That was an awesome episode. Had a lot of fun with that. Earlier this summer, I flew out to Our PRST, which is a custodian for financial advisors, independent financial advisors like myself. Full disclosure, I use Our PRST as one of the options for my clients to have their investments held. I'm friends with the founder. I'm friends with the other podcast host, Desarte. But I got to go out there, hang out with Jason and Desarte, record a podcast episode, kind of about my journey, but it ends up talking about Life Design Plus and where I see the future of the profession going. So getting behind the mic a couple times with them made me want to get back behind the mic today. And who knows, there might be times where I have some breakthrough that I just want to share with you. But I'm not going to be having any guests anytime soon. I also know that solo podcasts are kind of boring to listen to. They're kind of hard to record as well. So I won't be doing a lot of those either. But still need to scratch that itch from time to time. But really want to dial things in so I can have the greatest impact. So my hopeful takeaway for you in this episode is, as you go on your pursuit, I think it's great to wander and do a bunch of different things. Experience different versions of yourself, try different things out, see if you need to be doing it, and pivot back if not. But eventually, you're going to find that thing. I found it. For the next however many pages in the chapter of my life, Life Design Plus, Pursuit of Authentic Life, Spirit, Mind, Body, Money is it. Now, pulling those things together, that's what I'm working on, so that those things together make a lot of sense. Because again, my mind, it makes sense. I see how they're all connected, but you may not yet. When you find it, then it's time to wander a little less, narrow up the path for a period of time, and then go in. And the thing is, it's easier to do that. And I can tell you that from experience. I've never done this before because I hadn't found that thing. But now that I found it, it's easy. It's easier to give up some of the things to spend more time perfecting the messaging and perfecting my thoughts. So don't be afraid to do a lot of things and then cut some things out when you find the thing that's right for you and go more in on it. And then time goes by, you may need to go back to wandering a little bit to figure out what's the next iteration of that thing, or if you need to go try something different. So that's where I've been. Miss being in front of the mic, miss getting the feedback. We'll be back. Again, going to have the In the Lab series. We'll be back to having guests. The podcast in the future will be more focused, be much more consistent. When I come back, it's for good, and it's not going to be sporadic. It's going to be with purpose and moving this message forward, getting in front of more people. One of the ways to get more people is if you think it's great, sharing it as well. So feel free to share any of the old episodes. If you're new to the show, go back to the archive. There's tons of episodes already. I think I have well over 100 episodes from when I first started doing this. And while the messaging has gotten better over time, it's all still talking on the same things. You can learn from the daily pursuit that I was doing, or the breaking down the notes and all of the stuff I did to get to this point. The library is still great. So while I'm in the lab and on hiatus, go catch up. Go check out all the old episodes. And I'm gonna ask for something. I'm gonna ask for reviews and comments, because when I come back, having those will help amplify the show. It'll help amplify the show today to get people to get caught up on the old messaging. So you've probably seen in my office right over here, you can't see right now, maybe I can pull something over. If you're watching on YouTube, you see an orange sleeve of a hoodie. I've got a lot of OG Pursuit merch. There'll be a lifestyle brand way down the road, but it's not important right now. But I've got a lot of hoodies and t-shirts and hats from the past of Pursuit. So I'm going to give those away. So you leave a review on Spotify or Apple Podcast. Take a screenshot. Email it to me at jc@justincastelli.io. jc@justincastelli.io. Email it to me. And then on me, I will ship you something. I don't know what it'll be. And I'm going to work on getting this great merch that I created out in the world to people who might want to wear it as a thank you for helping me spread my message. So email me a screenshot of the review. Let me know what size you might wear. I'll hit the inventory, see what I have, and then we'll send something to you as a thank you. So if you made it this far in the episode, now you know something most people won't, because I'm not going to advertise it anywhere else. So with that, 18 minutes of me rambling by myself is enough. Hope that makes sense about what it is I'm doing. I'm really excited about being in the lab despite not creating content like I once was. And I'm really excited for when I get all this figured out and come back. So I want to thank you for joining me on my pursuit. It's an honor to be a part of your pursuit, and let's keep pursuing.